Oh man, I love it every time.
No, I can't help.
Hey everyone, welcome to ZLS 049. We're here in the studio with Diana Rodriguez. I am so excited to have you on the show. Thank you for coming by. How are you doing today?
Doing grand. Finally, man. Every time I had to be here,
I know.
something happened.
We
It was
finally
like a
made it
direct
happen
ticket.
though.
Definitely. It was like a direct ticket to hospital, man. Like,
Oh. Well,
diabetes is
I'm
a
sorry
bitch.
my show brought that on you. I feel like it
No,
was
no,
the
no,
show
no.
causing it.
Not your show. It was just me. It was just me, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing better now, and I wanted to show before we get too far off. I'm going to throw in the comments here one of your latest apps that you're coming out with. I think you're looking for investors on this. Is that right? Let me see if I can
Yeah.
share the
No.
screen.
Yeah, not only investors, also communities and conferences and events that are interested on getting something out there. It's actually really cool because you can keep private events private, and it's designed for this pandemic time.
Hmm.
So it's basically it's the David Bowie of online events. I mean, it has all the features that every other app has with some other features that are very unique. And we obviously have like a free tier for communities. We're on public beta. It's launching live on the 5th of October on Monday. Check it out. And definitely, if you know investors that want to invest on women-owned businesses. Goodness gracious, I can't even speak English anymore. It's Ralph Wiggum. It possesses me. Yeah, hit me up, check it out. And for communities who want to have that perk, please reach out. We are some cool people involved in this. So I mean, cool people because they're cool, not because we're famous or anything. I'm not famous anyway, so.
You're kind of famous, Diana. You're kind of famous in my book, at least.
Aw, cheers.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that awkward. But
No, it's okay.
yeah, cool. So, how did you? I think I messaged this to you on Twitter. I have this like weird entrepreneurial streak inside of me that makes something like this, seeing a developer do something like this, extremely cool. So how did this come about? Like, I imagine it was just like COVID hit and there's a need for this, and you jumped on that need. I'm assuming, but
Well, yeah, that and more than that. Hello, Crotch Corn. I actually
hey
like
Corbin.
that nickname.
Yeah, Corbin's been
um,
on the show a couple times actually, so he's a good friend of the
oh,
show.
nice. Hello, friend. Um, this actually came before the pandemic. You
Really?
know, yeah, I was working between two projects. One that is more education focused, and we're actually putting it on hold for now. That's gonna
Mm.
launch later. But I saw the need with the pandemic, and it was just rage coding for something that could help people organize events in a way that wasn't annoying, because when the pandemic started and then online events started to thrive and blossom and overpower us, then the
Blossom
setup
is a
for
terrible word for a virus, isn't it?
I know it's horrible. Yeah. But yeah, no, like, so with the influx of online events, then constraints came.
Hmm.
Your regular applications actually were offering things that weren't good enough,
Hmm.
and a lot of limitations. And in this fast-pacing world, we needed something that was good enough, equally good enough for organizers, for speakers, and this came from a very selfish speaker vision, and then for attendees. Good ways to be able to interact with each other, but also interact with the person who's speaking live. And then as a speaker, to be able to just log in to a web-based tool and have security and all these awesome features, grand. I don't have to download anything or log into 5 different apps and have my sound routed through a complicated setup. No, my goodness. And then for conference organizers, something that didn't mean installing things or a steep learning curve or battling dragons to get an event going, you know. And because we're nerds and we love it, Euler came out and we're trying to make it happen. You know, it's a good solution. It's made with love, and it was made by a speaker and event organizer with that vision in mind. And I've been an attendee to conferences, and you kind of get picky about tools and about things, you know. And the cool thing is that if you want premium content that you're paying for, the most valuable experience of an online event would be still the interaction with the public and everything. But if you're paying €100 to go to a conference, it's not fair that you get that the URLs leak, and then the value is the content, and keeping private events private is something. It's out of respect as well for those who contribute to these conferences, and for people who actually buy tickets, you know. So it's a mix of everything. And there you go. And you see my cat is here. She likes to be seen. She loves a warm lap as well.
There you go.
Oh, she doesn't want to be seen. Mara. That's Mara. She's my
Welcome
8-year-old
to the stream,
baby.
Maya. Oh, she's beautiful.
She is. She's also very spoiled, as you can tell.
Nice. Charlos, by the way, thank you. Thank you for stopping by.
Sure.
Welcome. And so I was going to ask you about the shirt, Diana. I thought it was Homestar Runner at first, but I think Homestar Runner star is white, right? So what is SU? I actually don't know.
Steven Universe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Steven Universe. I love Steven Universe.
Nice. I actually haven't seen it, but I've seen some memes, I think. So maybe I need to check it out. Where is it? Is it on Netflix?
No, it's actually on Amazon Prime Video or Cartoon Network and other sites as well. If you're on Spectrum, it's in the Spectrum app. Steven Universe is a TV show by Rebecca Sugar that talks about so many things. Yeah, the Crystal Gem. Oh, it's also on Hulu. Yeah. The Crystal Gems are something else. They're all female. And they're not female. They're like female like characters, but it deals with gender neutral or transgender, intersex, love in different concepts. Yeah, like it's actually an awesome show for the LGBTQ plus community, and in general, I think the story behind it is amazing. It's got a really good message, and you're part of the Crystal Gems too. Oh. Now the Crystal Gems are something else. Like, you have to see it.
I'll have to. Yeah. It sounds really cool. Anything that has to deal with love, I'm all about. So
it's great.
What's the point of being human without love, right?
That's true.
I don't know.
What I like about Steven Universe and love is that so each gem has a purpose, and they're designed to carry out a certain task, and they have like a hierarchy that is actually established in Homeworld. And then normally what you would do as a gem, you can fuse with other gems that are of your same sort of stone to complement your strengths and use your abilities. Like 4 rubies would actually make a bigger ruby. But then when the crystal the crystal gems came to planet Earth, or well, they were here anyway. They learned to fuse out of love. So fusion is not only a way to carry out a task, but also, ay, Melvin, hola.
Hey.
It's also a way to do it because you love that person. So it's so cool. Sorry, I'm a nerd for Steven Universe.
No, it's so awesome. Even if I don't understand the reference, to see like the passion in your voice just talking about it, it's very cool.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I will
so
have to check it out.
Melvin is part of the Codon team behind Euler. So it's
This Melvig
awesome
right
to,
here.
yeah, he's part of a Euler team.
Cool.
We just spoke about Euler and how awesome it's going to be. So, yeah.
Sounds like you and Crutch Court are. Y'all need to make plans after this to go on Corbin's show. He's got his own show, and you can talk all about Steven Universe, because I'm a poor host for not knowing about it. But
nah, you're fine. You're part of the Crystal Gems too.
aw.
I'm Sunstone.
Well, thank you. I feel honored to be an honorary Crystal Gem. But yeah. This gets into a icebreaker question I usually like to ask my guests right around this time. And so, sorry if I spring it on you, Dan. I usually try to give some warning, but I'm making an RPG game in the times where I'm not interviewing a guest, and it's heavily based on Pokemon. And one thing I like to ask people, because I think it reveals something about them in an interesting way, is if you had to describe yourself as one or a combination of two types from Pokemon, like fire, water, etc., which would you describe yourself as?
Oh, that's an easy answer.
Oh,
I
yeah?
am a good mix. I am a hybrid between Charmander and Jigglypuff.
Nice. I'm Charmander all the way. My type is fire for sure.
So I'm definitely fire, but there are many traits in Jigglypuff that totally suit me. First,
Yeah.
I love to sing. Second, I love attention, and Jigglypuff gets angry when people don't pay attention when she's singing, or he. I don't even know what gender Jigglypuff is when they're singing.
Jigglypuff can be, I believe, male or female. So it was one of the things that came out in later generations of Pokemon. Also, Jigglypuff went from, I think, a normal type to a fairy type later on too, when the fairy type got introduced. So
the fairy type. Oh no.
Or maybe Jigglypuff just has its own gender. Maybe that's the thing.
It's a Jigglypuff.
It's a Jigglypuff.
For real.
There you go.
So yeah, and actually, so philosophical. Charmander has a lot more than just fire and power. There's also a huge emotional content. Even the story, of Charmander. I'm just having a mental image of the little Charmander with that big ring in the leaf.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. There was, so I remember watching the show with my brother too. We got super excited because the Charmander evolved really quickly into the Charizard, and that's what we were like super jazzed about. But the Charizard wouldn't listen to his owner until like his owner showed him he loved him or something like that. So it was, I don't know. There's something cool about that storyline too. And then as soon as they had that mutual respect, the Ash let him go. The main character let him go and pursue his dream of becoming the strongest Charizard out there. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But I'm Team Charmander all the way. Don't even get me started on Squirtle. It's not even a choice.
I think Squirtle is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eevee.
That's fair. Eevee.
As well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just choosing two types, it was a hard choice. I knew my types, but there are things from every Pokemon. Oh my gosh, I'm such a nerd. Don't let me talk. Carry on.
Come on. I want to hear some of this. We can nerd out together. Pokemon's, I don't know Steven Universe, but I know Pokemon fairly well.
Man, I mean, like, there are, over 150 different Pokemons that we can document, right? And
I
then
think there's over 800 now with all the
yeah,
different generations put together. I
you're
don't
right.
know some of the later ones, but I know the original
You're
ones.
right. You're
But
right. You're totally right. But yeah, that many, and they all have either a struggle or a specific trait, and you can basically analyze so much from there. I am convinced more than ever that these shows are not for kids as we thought they were when we were kids. There's so much more in there. As an adult, I enjoy Pokemon, I enjoy Naruto, I enjoy Dragon Ball, Saint Seiya, and I mean, I'm an 80s kid. I'm old. So things like Robotech, Mazinger Z, I mean, there you go.
cool.
Don't get me started with cartoons, anime, or stuff like that because I get overexcited.
Yeah. Well, maybe getting into your love of 80s and 90s pop culture. Maybe we could segue from that into what I really wanted to have you on the show for was to talk about like your story coming up through this business, getting to the point now where you're, launching products like Euler, and how did you go from watching watching those cartoons to now being here? That's the piece I want to understand.
Cool. Well, I actually I never studied anything with development. I'm a self-taught developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I'm a self-taught developer. I started with development because my parents got divorced when I was 5 years old. I have a twin sister and a little brother. My mom got a job throughout school. She actually graduated despite having 3 kids and being a single mom. So she worked in this company that imported computers, and she always took samples back home just to try them so she could sell them properly. So my first interaction was with a Commodore 64, and then there were some magazines. Yeah, so I started programming with BASIC, and we had games that we could type, like we could program the games, but we didn't have the tape recorder. So as soon as you turned it off, everything was lost. So I sort of memorized the code of the games I liked the most, and I started modifying things. And that's when I found out I could make the game of my dreams. So I was 7 years old when that first interaction happened. And ever since, I went from BASIC to assembler, then to, I did Fortran because it was something that was in the books.
Yeah.
Then I did COBOL. And
how
then
old are you going as you're going through these languages? How old are you?
We're talking from 7 till 12.
Wow.
And then when I was 12 in 1994, I started with Java.
Okay.
Then HTML came up. In 95, I started making websites, and in 96, I sold HTML and JavaScript templates online. And people made me checks, Back then it was, you buy it, you mail a check,
Yeah.
I was surprised because I was living in the other side of the world. I was in Venezuela. And then from there, Python was what stole my mind. I learned because, so I'm autistic. And I have this superpower of learning things much faster than the median.
Yeah.
But the fact that I have those special abilities means that I lack other abilities that are very important. Like, I don't have a filter, for example. I'm not a good cook. Like, I'm the only woman in the face of the earth who can burn a salad, quoting my own father.
For the salad.
I swear. And
That's
some
funny.
other things, like, yeah, I'm totally oblivious when it comes to filters. And I happen to like crass humor. That has gotten me in a lot of trouble in the past.
Mm.
Um. So yeah. So.
We
Oh.
got some comments I missed here. Sorry about that, Corbin. He
Oh,
says,
good.
does super die stand for super dependency injection? Or have I been using too much Angular recently?
I like him. I definitely like him. I'm gonna start calling myself Super Die because of super
Super
dependency
dependency
injection.
injector.
Yes.
And so you can burn salad, Corbin can burn water. So
That's actually amazing. We have to meet. We have to meet, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Hit me up on Twitter. So
I was looking up the Java creation date. So Java, according to Google, Java came up in 1995. So you're hitting Java as soon as it's coming out. I think you said
there was
1994, right? Right. So
yeah.
that's like officially coming out.
So yeah, so what happened was that
Mm-hmm.
I lived in a neighborhood where a lot of university students were based. So there were people who rented their own houses and rented rooms for university students. And whenever I try to go play outside, I always ended up talking to older people. This is
Mm.
actually weird because, say, I was 12 years old and I went in a residency with 21-year-olds, 18 to 21-year-olds who taught
Mhm.
me what they were seeing. So I remember seeing things on Telnet, and Java was actually um, coming out
Mm.
in the university circles in more like the unofficial groups. So yeah, it was the underground scene, and back then there was no access to learning programming languages like nowadays. So it
Yeah.
was this secretive group, and I did their math homework on exchange for music. And
As a
yeah, I remember,
12-year-old. That's so cool.
because I like discrete math.
Yeah.
so so yeah, I'm so boring, man.
You're not bored. This is super interesting. So actually,
Oh, okay.
I got a similar story. Not I think anywhere near as impressive as you. I didn't start coding. I think I didn't write a line of code. Yeah, Corbin agrees with me. You're not boring at all. But I didn't write a line of code until I must have been like 15 or 16 years old in high school. That was like my first official line of code, I think. But my dad is a professor, and he's a philosophy professor, and he taught a lot of logic classes, and he would take me and my brother sometimes to when he had to teach because my mom would also work, and we'd just sit in the back. And I remember like I think I ruined a quiz because I blurted out the answer to one of these questions, which I think like logic and discrete math, very similar concepts actually. So yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, um, and then after that, I started taking gigs to fix code.
Mm.
And then I was introduced to the world of infrastructure because my mom was working in one of the bestest universities in Venezuela. And I was taken to the server room and I got a gig. I was
Nice.
17 and I had to crimp cables and put
Okay.
infrastructure together, assemble computers, do cleanups, and run things like cron jobs, but we're talking about things
Like
that would take forever.
okay, like a mechanical Turk kind of cron job idea. Okay, got it. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's when I learned that about myself, that I like the infrastructure side of everything. And then from there onwards, for the last 20 something years, 20 years, almost 21 years, my main orientation was always infrastructure and backend, especially with Python. JavaScript,
Okay.
I loved the hype when it happened in the 95, 96, and then 99, everybody hated JavaScript, and then jQuery, and then PHP had like a top moment, and
Hmm.
I didn't like PHP as much, but I had to work with it, and it paid the bills.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with my university career. I won't disclose what I studied because I have a pact of never talking about it anymore.
Okay. Well, I won't pry.
Yeah, but yeah, but no, it's so I studied something that required me to have use of my upper limbs and my dominant hand. And sadly, I had a circumstance that left me with a permanent disability where I can't use tiny things or grab them because there's a scar here, a shoulder injury. So I have 4 anchors in my shoulder, and I don't know, like, although I recovered mobility for the most part of it, there are things that I can't still do. So I said to myself, I'm never going to talk about this, and more like focus on the other thing I did study and that I did earn a master's and a doctorate, and I tried to do a postdoctorate, then I couldn't do it because it's too difficult. Like, there's a limit, you know.
Gotcha. But you have a doctorate. Is that correct? Are you Dr. Super Die? 2 doctorates? Good Lord. That's so cool. I always wanted to have a doctorate. My dad has a doctorate. My wife has close. She's got her master's. We're thinking of going back for the doctorate, but that's really cool.
It's difficult.
Yeah, I imagine.
The one I can disclose, the one I can talk about, Doctor.
Dr. Super Die. This is like you've got all like the Mario adjectives covered. Doctor, super.
Oh man, that's cool. I didn't even know. So I have a doctorate in music as well. That's the second one.
Wow.
I studied music since the age of 4. There's a system in Venezuela. And I have a doctorate in composition. I did the master's in orchestral conduction, and I love music with everything, you know, my entire body.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's super cool. And Corbin is espousing your accomplishments. It's really cool. You are super interesting, Super Die.
Oh, thank you.
So never say you're otherwise. But getting onto the music thing, I have a little story about that too. I'm actually not super huge on music. I don't play anything or listen to it that much, but I did have a class in college, like a music theory class of all things, just something everyone had to take. And part of it was like we had to go to a couple concerts throughout the course of the semester. Oh, nice! You gonna shred for us some? That's cool. You can go ahead if you want. I don't mind at all if you want to strum while I talk. But yeah. So we had to go to this concert, and I was in Chicago area at the time. So I went to like I guess they have a jazz concert once a year in Chicago. I figured I kind of like jazz, so I'd go check it out. And like I remember sitting there and just writing some stuff, like trying to get remember stuff we learned in music theory, like staccato and different tones and different things like this. And then I was just like, what am I doing? And because I just look up from my notepad, and everyone around me is just like vibing like the exact same way to these people up on the stage. I was like, screw this. I remember I threw my notepad down. I just went walking around to see everyone and like see what they're all doing. And that's like when music connected for me. Like, this isn't about like the notes on the page or like whatever theory stuff I was trying to make notes of. It's about everyone connecting. And to see that all these people, I imagine a lot of them strangers, just all vibing that exact same way, like in perfect like rhythm with each other. That was I think that's what music's about. But yeah, that's my story on music. Oh, you're muted. Yeah, there you go.
No, I was going to say, for real, it is. And this is when I say that as a musician, you can't really like point at someone and say, you suck, don't sing. I don't think there's something, there's anything more cocky and terrible to tell someone to stop expressing themselves the way they feel it. There's an ear for everything, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah.
We've got clamoring for you to play something.
Something. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Can you hear it? Summertime and living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's great and your mind's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings you gotta wake up singing, and you'll spread your wings and take it to the sky. Until the morning, ain't nothing can harm you. With daddy and mommy standing by. Summertime and living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mind's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Yeah. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. There you go.
Woo!
I'll never say no to playing something.
That's awesome. Thank you. Corbin says here, for him, music is a lot about anxiety management. I'm fortunately blessed to not have too much anxiety, but yeah, I can definitely see that too. So panic attacks and during hallucinations. Yeah, that's scary.
It is.
But
It is.
and
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for blessing us with that. That was awesome. Well, it's unfortunate. It's summertime, and I think this is the first days of fall, right? Was that recently? I don't know. I'm in Arizona. It still feels like summertime here, and
it's
Nicole
always
says you get
summer in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Even in the winter.
Even in the winter.
It during the summertime, it's just summertime plus.
Exactly. It's like, hey, you know what messing up is like? And going like literally, like you don't want to mess up and think you know, there's a possibility of you going to hell. But if you want to know what it feels like, go to Arizona during the summer, you know. I know that's terrible. I'm awful.
Okay. Well, maybe a good segue into asking about stand-up. So you have a background. You have 2 doctorates. You have all these cool accomplishments, and you also have done stand-up. And we talked about this a little bit beforehand as like I think we called it like alchemy, as taking your bad experiences and turning it into joy for someone else. But yeah, how did you get into that?
So again, this would be an amazing story. So I had therapy today. I was talking to my therapist, and she's like, Diana, you don't have to hide those amazing unbelievable things that have happened because you feel like people might not like or sometimes even believe what these things are. Like, but yeah, I have some interesting stories. So the whole stand-up thing happened because I was backpacking. So I left Venezuela in 2013, and I backpacked for 3.5 years. Well, it was actually 5 years altogether if we count until the moment I arrived to the United States.
Okay.
So at some point, development wasn't paying the bills as much, and I was backpacking, so I didn't have a stable connection, and the amount of freelancing I could do wasn't as big.
Mm-hmm.
So I became a street singer. Then I met some Argentinian guys that said, hey, we're traveling around South America. You want to join us? There are some cafes that actually hire you. And if you have a second number, then they'll pay you more. So I thought, well, I'm going to do stand-up. And I signed up in Ecuador for a clown course. And clown and stand-up are different things.
Yeah.
But I feel like I got the tools to actually develop more on the stand-up side of things. So I can laugh about my own disgraces. The bad thing, or maybe, I don't know, the not so interesting thing is that because I enjoy crass humor, that's what I'm really good at. So I'm always ruled out by code of conducts everywhere. Unless I am on stage, then that's a different thing. It's like, I don't give a shit. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, I don't have a code of conduct yet. Maybe I'll need one after this time, but that's okay. You're not violating anything right now. But yeah, there's something about crass humor that really works for stand-up, especially, I think, because you're getting at like there's these standards. There's this like walls we kind of put up that are kind of silly if you think about them, but we just put them up because like this is what people do. Like you should say these things, or you should joke about that. But part of the cool part of stand-up comedy is that little shock value of just saying like, hey, all you need to do is like punk, and that wall goes down, right? So
literally, and then it's definitely the fragility, man, and saying things that people wouldn't normally say, and making like constructing a monologue based on personal experiences. Like, okay, I can talk about something that won't get me in trouble anywhere else, that is a little bit crass, but not too much. It's not too explicit. I remember I started a monologue talking about relationships and things that you have these contracts, even with intimacy, like there are contracts, there are social negotiations that are validated by society. I was at a bus stop in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I heard two girls talking about taking the relationship to the next step, to the next level. Right. I was intrigued. I'm like, because one of them was like, oh my God, are you serious? Are you going that far? Does that mean you're committed now? And the girl was like, yes, it's happening. It's happening. We are going to do it. I thought they were talking about marriage. And then I hear the other girl saying, we're doing it. Anal sex, lady. It's happening. I was like, do y'all talk about that?
Did you burst into their conversation at that point?
Like y'all negotiate those things, like so I was like so that was terrible, right? And then I developed it thinking, well, I come from a country where we just make photocopies on both sides, and normally people assume things. It was more like playing with certain ideas that are kind of taboo and people don't talk about, but kind of like thinking, what have we become as a society that we negotiate like it? And now it's in the stock market, you actually have to. That's horrible. But anyway, stand-up came naturally. I'm not a funny person. I'm actually a very serious person and extremely boring, as you can see. After this, what I'm going to do is go back to my corner and knit. But no, I'm joking. I wish I could knit.
You can knit while you chat with me. That's fine. I don't mind at all.
No, I don't knit.
Oh,
I know zero about knit. Like,
okay.
I'm
I
not
thought
skilled.
Gotcha. How are you? You're not skilled. Is how is that even remotely true?
Well, sorry. Sorry, no, I mean, I'm not skilled in those things.
I see. Well, cool. So, okay. So we've kind of jumped around in your story a bit now, I think. So we went from your earlier years where you're like learning coding at a very young age, doing all this stuff. Somewhere in between, you're getting like the doctorates in school, and then I guess are you doing freelance up until then, and then you decide to go backpacking, and that's when you do the stand up. Is my timeline roughly correct?
Yes, I did stand up because I had no other resort. I went backpacking because I was married and I got divorced, and it was a bit of a traumatizing experience. I don't think there's anything nice about getting divorced, even if it's agreed. And I needed out, and I actually made it on time before things went down the drain in my home country, which is also another sad thing. I was born in Venezuela, and my first language is actually Spanish.
Nice. Well, my only language is English. I'm kind of ashamed of that, but polyglots are cool. My wife speaks Spanish.
You speak programming languages.
I know. Yes, I could. I think we said on Twitter something about swearing in your native language. I did console.log.
Swear in Angular.
Exactly. But yeah, my wife actually, before we met, she had spent some time in Venezuela, just going with a church group to the area. So she saw some friends in the area or in Venezuela
Mormon?
that she talks to. No, not Mormon. I think it was. I think she was Southern Baptist at the time. So
okay, no, because I always ask because it's usually Mormon missionaries.
Yeah,
I was a Mormon missionary.
You were? Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Believe me, I know. The woman
I know. There's a lot of
these
Mormon
cuts.
stuff happening in like South America and Mexico. Like I knew that was a thing. Like the whole Mitt Romney thing. Like Mitt's father like grew up in Mexico, or he moved the family to Mexico, or something like that. I don't know. I don't understand some of those pieces.
It was before Mitt Romney anyway, like from the 1800s. Yeah. But
okay.
But yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. But yeah, I was a missionary for 18 months, and I served in the sign language program in the Venezuela Barcelona mission. So there you go.
Cool. I feel like we're going into like really interesting folds of your life. This is neat. But yeah, I don't know. I really respect Mormons in some way. Like every Mormon I've met has been super kind and seems like they genuinely care about a lot of things. But I can't get on board with the theology. But I'm Christian myself, so I'm a very liberal Christian though. But yeah. Anyways, I don't have much to stand on.
I'm not the best example of a Mormon. If you,
are you still Mormon? Are you still Mormon?
I guess.
Okay.
There are things that are definitely not. I don't know. Like I'm pansexual, for example. I swear a lot.
Do you drink caffeine? That's like a big no, right?
Yeah. I don't. You know what? The thing is, I don't like coffee as much. I think I'm more a liquor lady. But
nice.
But yeah, it's like if you're gonna give me coffee, lace it first, you know.
You gotta make it Irish. I appreciate
or
that.
Scottish with
Scottish.
Scottish. You know, I have a Scottish parent, and this is where the accent comes from. I actually mellow it a little bit, and I think it sounds a mix of Northern Ireland and English or something. But yeah, there you go. Oh, my mom is calling. Okay, stop. There you go.
Do you need to talk to her?
No.
Okay.
Just be like, hi, I'm live on Twitch.
Nice. Well, okay. So yeah, so after you backpack, you're in North Carolina now. Do you wind up in North Carolina at the end of your backpacking?
No, I actually ended up in Argentina.
Oh, your audio is coming in very weird all of a sudden.
How about now?
Same thing. It's coming in like spurts. Oh, now you're muted, so I can't hear it. But I think you're working on it.
Okay, we're back.
We're back. Nice.
It was probably a battery thing. No, I was going to say that I ended up in Argentina, which is where I ended up working a lot more in the community. And then, so I gave a lot of talks and started a few communities there, then moved to Uruguay. And I was working for Tracy Lee at this dot. And
nice.
Back then I was the worldwide community organizer at View Vixens. So we founded communities in like 22 countries. It was amazing. And I was invited to 5 back-to-back events here in the United States. And the last one was JS Mobile Conf in Boston. I gave a talk about the imposter syndrome, and I said, hey, you know what? I'm a woman in her 30s. I'm divorced. I never did I never pursued any formal education in programming or anything, but hey, I'm a backend and DevOps professional. If you want to hire me, I'm up for grabs. Because at the time, my contract with Tracy was about to end, and I wanted to move to a different direction. And then a man showed up and said, hey, I want to hire you. Here's my card. Contact me. We need a chief DevOps architect. And that's how I ended up staying. I came here with a backpack and a guitar, and it's been 2 years now. And now I have this side business, and I also work at Vonage. I'm the boss of Python at Vonage. Although I do contribute to other projects as well. But yeah, I'm the face of the Python server SDKs. So there we go.
Very cool.
A good thing to say is, because I had a lot of hardships throughout my life, not only because of, being autistic and trying to fit in with particular abilities that were seen odd at the time, or maybe because I wanted to fit in so much, but also taking the courage to leave home and just backpack around and go wherever the wind took me to, which entailed sometimes sleeping in the street, or, having to become a street musician, or resorting to stand up because I wasn't in a place where I had a stable connection to carry on with freelancing, or career changes, or what happened in 2015 when I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the middle of traveling.
That's 5 years ago today. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So what I wanted to say about this is that it doesn't matter how bad it gets. It doesn't matter how dark things seem. We're always going to have difficulties, but there's always a way out. And I've seen that myself, and I feel personally the weakest person. I'm not a strong person like people think. But if I manage to pull through, well, there's a lot of hope for those who are truly strong, right?
That's a very inspiring message. Let me, if you don't mind, can I share your tweet from earlier today?
Sure.
Where you talk about the 5 years? Let me see. How did There we go. Let me take down the banner thing around this. So this was you say, once upon a time I had no hair, no eyebrows, and no eyelashes. My eyebrows were the first thing to grow back, and they came back stronger. So did my hair. Every 2nd of October, I celebrate life. 5 years ago, you were diagnosed with large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and still around. And that was, oh man, when I saw this morning, that message, especially just when your eyebrows came back and they came back even stronger, like that was a message I needed to hear this morning. So that was really huge for me. But just like going to what you said, like we talking through your story and like all the hardships that you were talking about here. But like all those things contribute to you being this like really, really awesome person. that's super interesting to have on a Twitch stream of all things, but like super interesting, like, and valuable to humanity as a whole to have someone who's gone through the things you've had and come out like all the stronger from it. Like, I think it's really cool, Super Dive. I think, and thank you. Thank you for sharing everything.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah, it hasn't been easy. I'm still suffering side effects and consequences, including eventually becoming a type 1 diabetic. But despite the hardships and throughout even this horrible circumstance of a pandemic, I feel there's more to life than this. You know, I believe that it doesn't matter how bad the sky is falling and how difficult things get. There's always something that keeps us going. In my case, I was thrilled because so my hair took like 8 months to grow back. I don't know if you see in the picture, there's like a little bit of a shade. I had like some peach fuzz on my head, like baby hairs, something, and it was very blonde, like white, you know. Before that, I was a ginger. I was born a ginger, so it was interesting because I was kind of auburn-ish by the time I got diagnosed, and now I have like this dark brown hair with 2 blonde streaks that I always had. Those are still here. The hair dye. But yeah, that's like a birthmark. My hair not only grew back darker, but also stronger and curly. But when I saw my eyebrows, that was after. See, that was 3 months after the first treatment ended that I got like a full set of eyebrows, and I didn't touch them for like a year. You know, I didn't style them or anything because I was afraid that if I plucked them, they were gonna fall off. Same with my eyelash. Well, I don't pluck my eyelashes, you know, but like I wouldn't even like touch my eyes because I was afraid that my eyelashes would fall. But yeah, it took 6 months after the treatments for my hair to start growing back. And the day I took that picture, I don't look the healthiest. If you see. I was actually underweight and very pale, but seeing eyebrows, seeing that I could do better expressions, you know, with my face, was a moment that I treasured. You know, I thought, well, my eyebrows are growing like this, and my hair's gonna come back on fire, and it did. You know, I even sport a mullet proudly.
Nice. That's so awesome. Yeah, this is such a cool picture to have. Like, just I don't know. It was super impactful for me this morning. Just the look on your face. Like, there's something in that glimmer in your eye there. Like, I feel like you know at this moment, like, things are going to be okay. After a time where you didn't know that's true. So, yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but I'm super glad things worked out. I'm super glad things worked out to be able to get you on the show today. So
same here.
So we can have this conversation. Yeah.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Yeah. No, please, the honor is all mine. I did want to. We're coming to the end of our time, but I did want to talk a little bit about inclusion before you left, if that's all right. Just looking at, like, when I looked you up, the first things that came up were talks on inclusion you did, I think, at Google. I'm curious about a lot of that stuff. I know. So I've been doing my show. And just the nature of our business, I've had a lot of white men on the show, and I was like, I know that there's more to humanity than this, for sure. I want to find people who don't match, my own description, because if all I'm doing is just talking to people like me, I'm not really learning anything, I don't feel like. But trying to understand the larger scene that's out there, especially like, outside of America. I think there's a huge difference for software developers, especially in America. Like, just looking at the wage difference is like, I think American developers get paid like 6 times more than anywhere else, which is weird. It's kind of scary because that's going to level out, I feel like, especially with this environment we're in now, where like everything is kind of remote and it doesn't matter if you're American or not. So I don't know. Curious about your thoughts on that.
I think it's like a, I think it's more like a probably like a cultural thing. I mean, it's a country that is so big, and then you're so close between your own borders. I mean, traveling from here to San Francisco is already 2 time zone changes.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of benefits of, being born in such a big country. You think you don't need anything else because there's a big world out there, but the country's so big that, I mean, not many people even know the whole country, or there are many people from the East Coast that don't know the West Coast and so on. So hi,
good, Corbin.
I think it's a thing about being exposed to diversity, to be aware that there's a world out there that is different, and that we need those differences. We need that diversity. That's what makes us thrive. That's what brings joy to the world. Having different cultures, different kinds of food, the color of your skin and your ethnicity are nothing. They're just part of that diversity, of that variety, because if not, the world would be extremely boring. So yes. I personally believe that things like racism, lack of inclusion, prejudice are all fueled on lack of exposure and ignorance. And you know what happens? If you grow in an environment that is so tightly closed and you're not exposed to anything else, anything different than what you see in the mirror, like what you see in the mirror every day. And whenever you see something different, obviously, what's going to be the first behavior? To try to reject it, to not, to try to stay away.
Yes.
And a lot of people have used that to also exercise dominance, or just belittle people. But yeah, I would say, we need diversity. We need different kinds of people. We are a big puzzle in the world, and like in a puzzle, there are no 2 pieces equal. No, there are no pieces that are the same. They can be similar, but never the same. And each piece has a purpose, a function, a specific space. They fit in, and they fit in perfectly. So we all have things to bring up to the table. We all have ideas that can make a difference. If we open up our minds, and if we're ready to receive knowledge, experience, a little bit of cultural learning, we can become a better ecosystem. And that the name of my talk is Make Room Not War. Inclusion means all y'all.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
And you got the totes y'all bag in the background we can see.
that Chloe Condon gave that back to me.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's so cool.
She's one of my best friends, and
Oh nice.
I love her. She's my little sister. She gave it to me because we were in Atlanta together, and we went to this shop that had T-shirts that said "Gelato, y'all." So,
nice.
yeah,
That's awesome. Well, just latching on to some of the pieces you've said, and I'm curious on your take on this. I've always thought that, you know, as human beings, just looking sort of at our science, our makeup, our biology, and our history, like we're designed evolutionarily to be like tribal, and that's where like a lot of the racist tendencies can come in. But I think it all can be kind of flipped on its head if you adjust your idea of where your tribe starts and stops. Like if your tribe only includes people you're familiar with, people who look like you, then yes, you're going to immediately like reject people that don't fit into that description, or like have some subconscious bias against them. But if you are able to adjust that and see, you know, people you're exposed to, people you're purposely exposing yourself to, are they, if you can break out of, you know, your normal tribe and see instead, well, these are we're on the same team. Like just being able to see that when you look in someone's eyes. I don't know.
Definitely.
I don't know. I'm just spouting at this point, but I don't know.
No, that's totally it. You know, we open our eyes, broaden our perspectives, and we need to step up from the privileged ladders. We want everyone to sit at the same table. There are no betters. You know.
Well, and recognizing that we're all the better for it from having more people at that table.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're coming into a time in human history where I think really, and we're not all the way there yet, I don't think, but there's starting to be this lack of sparsity. Like we are in open source software, I think really speaks to that. Like where like I've talked about this a bunch of times on my channel, but like there's the commons of our society, the things we all share. Go back 500 years, and this is like the grassy field that someone lets their cows feed in, you know. But that grassy field could get ruined by letting someone's cows feed there. But if the common is like this open source software that we've put out there, that people could take from that freely without like depleting it in any way. So that's what gets me super psyched about humanity right now. I think we're on the precipice of something really cool. For all the kind of sucky things going on right now, I think there's a lot of hope in that aspect, at least, of humanity. So that's my 2 cents.
No, it's true. It's true. That's it. Definitely. You said it.
Thanks. No, I'm curious about a lot of these. I feel like I have a lot of these thoughts, and I'm curious to see how other people react to them. I'm always curious about these things, without having them validated against someone else. They're just like the ramblings of a mad person, I feel like. But yeah, you heard it here first, folks. I'm mad. I'm crazy. I need y'all to validate me. All y'all. Cool. All right. Well, Diana, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for blessing us with your music and your experiences. And yeah, it's been so awesome having you on the show. I hope we can do this again sometime, because this was really cool. This is maybe one of my favorite episodes yet. So.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy. I had an amazing time with you, and I hope I'm going to make a public commitment here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I always hated pair programming, because what are you going to pair with when you're doing, Bash? like shell scripts. Caring for that is like so. So I always like I developed this fear of pair programming. So I'm committing that sometime soon. We should do something together. We should let's do Angular.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah. If you want to, I'd totally be down for that. I feel like I'm trying to crack the thing behind live coding, because it's hard to do. I was talking to my guest yesterday, Josh, about this. I feel like I have two brains when I'm live streaming my code. Like, one is the brain that's normally there when it's like when you're like coding and solving problems, and the other is like the brain that's like, is the audience engaged? Are they having fun? Do I have any comments? And it's like both of those processes are depleting the other. So
I know. You're doing awesome, man.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Corbin. That's very kind of you to say. But yeah, we'll let everyone go now. Thank you again so much, Diana, and thank you all for stopping by. I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. And hopefully we'll have Super Die again soon. So
cheers, people. Have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.